All right, so let's go ahead and put together the track bot. So what you're gonna have is all your parts here, uh, your hardware, okay, and talk about a little bit about the parts. Your tracking system right here, it's already put together. Use approximately 36 tracks, and each one of them is put together with a round toothpick. So don't use the square ones. If they do break, then grab you an M2 Allen wrench, push it out, and then you can insert a new one. All right, just be careful with them. They don't break as often unless they're very tight on there. All right, so technically you have 2 of these in your kit. You have 6 wheels. What you want to do is make sure you check your wheels. I've already used the Brimble, okay, on them here to widen the holes, because remember, these are 3D printed parts and usually they're not exact. So I did do a little bit of work on them. You are receiving a working bot that has been tested, so you shouldn't have it to use the Brimble. But if you need to, you want to make it smoother, you want to make it your own, you can always do that. Run the Brimble on the holes here will make the wheels run a lot smoother, okay. And then of course your wheels will be actually ran inside the track here, and that's how this bot works. All right, I'm going to show you how to put it together. Take your inner wheel holder and place your off color in the center. So you have 2 greens or whatever color you get, and then the one that's not the same, just put it in the center. Take your outer wheel bearing cover and place it like so. And what you want to grab is a washer, and you're gonna line up the 3 holes, the one on the top, the one on the bottom, and then put this one in the center right here. Line it up. Grab you one of your longest screws on the kit, which is an M320 or an M325. Run it through the bottom and up, okay. And take your M3 washer, your M3 nut, and for now just make sure it's secured on there. It doesn't have to be tight for now until we put the other ones on there. Let's do the same thing with the other side. Put your washer in, your M3 screw, and if you're having problems on aligning, just take it out and do the same thing again. Take your time and run it up. And your M3 nut, for now just secure it on there. It doesn't have to be tight. And do the same thing on the other side, okay. Keep in mind this video, the intent of the video is to show you how the kit gets put together. The other thing to keep in mind is there's no electronics being placed at this time, so this is just a video to show you how to put the kit together. As I go along, I will explain to you what you'll see on the next video, and where, for example, the motors go, and so on and so forth. So for right now, this is just a quick video on how to put your bot together, your track bot together. Okay, once you have that done, you will have your 4 screws with nuts, and then your washer in the middle. See how you have that gap there? That's so that all 4 wheels will have freedom of movement. Take your M3 Allen wrench and then just snug them tight. Doesn't have to be excessively tight, because if you do tighten them excessively, then your wheels will bind and they won't turn freely, okay. Once you have that done, then we'll go ahead and put the track system on. The track system is very easy to put on. Just take your track system, align the inside here with the wheel on one end, make sure it's seated on there, and then take it and ride it along the other end, okay, until it pops in place. All right, and it takes a few minutes. Just keep turning it and turning it until it pops in place, okay. Nice, okay, almost there. Yeah, there you go. All right, so now what you have is your tracking system that should have 3 freedom of movement wheels, and your tracking system actually moves. Okay, so you have both of them put together. Now here's one of the key things I want to show you. At this point, before we continue, we would actually put the motors on there, but this is not going to be shown to you until the next video. Right now, like I told you, all I'm doing is explaining to you how the box gets put together so you can use it as reference later on. So the next part will be the lower base. Okay, the lower base, you want to make sure that this part is outer top part is actually flushed with the base of this part here. You don't want it to sit like this. Okay, you want it to actually sit where it's nice and flushed like that, and you want to align this inner hole with the inner hole on the inner wheel holder. You take your second longest screw, you insert it in, and take your washer, your M3 washer, your M3 nut, and for now just secure it on there. Don't need to tighten yet. Do the same thing with this end again, and the inside hole. It's totally up to you. I have not sent you enough because only 4 screws are needed, but if you want to make it your own, like I said, you can actually put another screw here and another screw here. Okay, do the same thing with the other side. Seat it on the top, align the 2 inner holes, take your screw, run it in, take your other screw, run it in, and now your M3 nut. For now, all you have to do is place it on there nice and snug. Okay. So what you have is you have your inner wheel holder, which is this part here, your outer wheel holder, your 3 wheels on each side, so you have a total of 6, and then you have your base. Okay, now just take your Allen wrench and tighten these up where they're nice and tight. Okay, they don't need to be extremely tight, but make sure they're nice and firm on there. Okay, nice and tight. Same here, and this end. Now what this does is this part here actually helps to hold the motor, and I'll show you with this one real quick. As you can see, the motor is on that end. Okay, and that part there is helping to hold the motor in place. Okay, all right, next, it's also a base. You have enough holes and adapters here that you can actually place whatever you want on there. You can put a battery, a 9-volt battery case, which is what I do. I put a 9-volt battery case, I secure it with a zip tie, that I can pull it out and push it in. All right, in this case, on my next level that we're going to put together, which is your longest part, is where I have the Arduino, the motor shield, and actually the sensor. So these 3 parts will go on this longest piece. You can see all the holes that are there and available, because once again, what I give you is zip ties so you can hold these parts together. So you place them on there with zip ties, which is fine, which is what I send you. It's all you really need. But if you want to use M3 screws with M3 nuts, then that'll be also great. I mean, you want to do that, you want to spend money on that, that's fine. They're not that expensive, and if you do buy the M3 nuts, make sure you don't get anything bigger than an M3, maybe 8 or 10. Okay, because you have a lot of room. You have a lot of room down there where you can actually use an M310. But like I said, go with an 8, it'll be fine. Okay, the next part will be placing your longest piece, which is fairly simple. What you want to do is you want to place it utilizing these second holes that have an indentation from the bottom. So you're going to take your smallest screw and a coupler, and you're going to take the screw, run it from the bottom, hold it in place with your hand, and take your coupler and screw it in there. Okay, fairly easy. Takes a few turns and it's nice and tight. You don't have to use a Allen wrench or nothing. Do the same thing with all 4 holes. Same thing with all 4 holes. Take your coupler, screw it, self screws on there, nice and snug. Do the same thing on the other side. Coupler. Keep in mind that it's on the second hole from the end. So 1, 2, 2, 2, and then 2 here. And what's gonna lay on top is gonna be your longest piece. And again, as I told you earlier, this is where you may want to put all your electronics. Again, this is your kit. You do however you want to mount it. It's totally up to you, wherever you want to mount the electronics. Like I got them on the top, but you can put them on the bottom so they sit upside down. That's fine as well. I will be explaining to you how to connect the electronics. Keep in mind that this kit has a pre-programmed Arduino, so the program is already installed, plus you get a hard copy of the program. The reason I send a hard copy of the program is to save money on sending you a device with the program itself, but also it allows you as a beginner, or even as someone who's already been dealing with robots, to use the Arduino IDE and input all the commands correctly. And you'll be surprised how many folks really need that. They need to practice that, because believe it or not, that's one of the more important parts of robotics. Is you need to know how to program. You need to know how to type it all in, and also at the very end to verify that it actually works. And if it doesn't work, then you're gonna have to go back in there and find out where you committed your mistakes. So all right, so technically what you want to do at this point is you want to tighten these all up, but you get the point here. All right, tighten these all up. They're nice and tight, so you will have a nice looking bot which is tight. And the only area that you want the movement is going to be on the wheels themselves. And as I told you, if you don't feel comfortable with the movement, take a Brembo and work with it, and you'll be surprised what kind of changes you get. The other thing about this bot is you don't want to use this bot in a small room. Okay, this bot needs a lot of room to play with because of the sensor. The sensor itself is going to be actually moving 180 degrees from right to left. So it's going to be searching for obstacles. That's why it's called obstacle avoiding bot. So once it finds an obstacle about 6 to 8 inches from it, it'll stop, and it'll keep scanning, and it will try to find a way to get out of that danger. So it'll back up and it'll turn. But if you have it in a small room, this bot is going to be nothing but scanning and turning around. So you don't want that. You want to use this like in a big room, big living room, a huge living room, or even a basketball court. Okay. As I explained to you earlier, we've already put in the long part. The long part, I have all the sensors. That's totally up to you. If you want to put the sensors on the bottom, that's fine. Except this sensor here has to be on top. Okay, this sensor must be on top because that's your scanner. Okay. Now the next and last part is you're gonna be doing the exact same thing, but you're gonna do it on a smaller one. And a smaller one, basically, what I have is your battery case. I told you I have a battery case on the top, and I usually just put a zip tie on there so I can take the battery case out whenever I need to, and I can just put it back on. All right. Same thing with this one here. All right. So it's simple. You're gonna take and you're gonna use the last holes on one end. You can put it here. You can put it on this side, and then the fourth one down. Okay. So that's how it's gonna line up. And this is how you're gonna get it to tighten up. Put one in on one end, take your coupler, and do the same thing on all four. And once you get that done, the ones in the center are a little bit more difficult to get to. Just put it in the hole on this side and then hold it with your finger like so, and then take a coupler on the other side and tighten it up. All right, not so bad. And do the same thing with the other one. Once you have all four of them on there, then you have completed the actual basic framing of the bot. And in your next video, the one that you're really gonna need to complete is the electronic portion of it, because that'll show you how to put all your electronic parts together. And then after that, I'll probably put a video together on how to use Arduino IDE. That gives you an idea how to open it up and how to download a software program and even type a program. Okay. And once you have all four screws on there, you should have nothing but electronics parts left, and zip ties and battery cases and whatnot. So tighten these up, and what you have is your bot completely put together. Okay. All right, see you on the next video.